Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Life is blank. Life is good. One of my favorite things, one of my favorite brands. Today is day 2106 of What You Up To Now, documenting the journey originally a few years ago as I decided I was going to jump onto the online world and try to figure out how to make the internet and online businesses work for me and the businesses that I'm involved in, as well as businesses of my clients, to grow and build and supersize. I've come to believe that, especially since the pandemic in 2020, we all need to have both an offline and an online component. We need to be building our personal brands. We need to be out there. We need to be showing up no matter what's going on in the world. And if 2020 didn't teach us anything else, it taught us that and really solidified that message that we need to grow and morph and change and do whatever it takes to be successful. Now, I say use the LF9 to get whatever you want, because I have a 9-part life framework that I teach in the annual challenge and that I share. I've been sharing it since 2021, the 9-part life framework. Prior to that, I shared with all my coaching and consulting clients a 7-part life framework. And there's lots of coaches, lots of mentors, lots of programs, lots of teachings, lots of courses have different frameworks that they use, different ways to organize and structure your life. And what you have to do is find the one that works for you and works best for you and tweak it to make it work even better and continually improve. And that's what I did with this original 7-part life framework I learned from Jim Rohn originally, and then Tony Robbins. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution. And for decades, I have literally for decades set my life up and planned my life with respect to my goals and what did I need to do to achieve those goals based on that life framework. Now, for a lot of years, I didn't do things that I do now, like, hey, what's going on in your life right now, according to ranking these, what's most important, what's not, as far as the different life frameworks, because they're not all equal ever. I don't know anyone that has equal balance and emphasis on all those areas all the time, right? Maybe it's possible. It's not possible for me. I've decided, and I guess if I decided it was possible for me, I could, but I don't believe in balance anyway. I think we work on the most important things for us right now and our priorities, and they're different for all of us, and they're different during different periods of our life. You know, when I was a teenager, my priorities in each of these different areas was very different. You know, I didn't think one bit about finances when I was a teen. Well, I did when I wanted to buy stuff when I was a teenager, but it wasn't a huge criteria for me. Relationships were probably higher. I guarantee emotions were really high, and mental a little bit, but not a lot, and physical a little bit, but not a lot, right? When you're young, you take for granted how healthy you are or how well things are being. But then in my 20s, I had some huge physical challenges, and all of a sudden, all the time I hadn't been taking good care of myself, smacked me right over the head like a brick and shut me down for a couple of years. So we pay attention to what we need to pay attention to more, depending on what is a higher priority for us. You know, if you just lost your spouse, you have different priority to different areas and aspects of your life and things that become more important than if you are just getting married or in a new relationship, etc. So all of our lives, that's what makes life so fun. Life is freaking awesome, if you ask me, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know how long you've got here on planet Earth. You never know. And there's certainty and uncertainty. This is another Tony Robbins NLP thing. Human beings need some amount of certainty in our lives, but we also need uncertainty, which is variety in our lives, or we get bored and stagnant and we just get stuck in a rut and we don't change or move or grow. That's why I believe that's why challenges and problems and obstacles come our way, is to test us and say, well, are you really serious about the thing you say you want? I meet so many people that, I just am waiting to start my business. I want to start a business. And I'm like, well, if you really wanted to start a business, you would have started it already. You might not have figured everything out or supersized or been growing it, which is another group that I work with, is people that are already in their businesses, established and ready to go all in and supersize and grow that business. But so many people say, I want to do this, yet they never even investigated or research or say, well, what kind of business could I start? They never even think about what kind of business would they start, because they're so overwhelmed with all of the possibilities. Anyway, I digress. So today for Supersize Your Business, I shared 15 different life is idioms. And I like this because what it tells us is a lot about ourselves. If I say life is a box of chocolates, it means I am noticing that life is full of surprises and changes and challenges, and I get to choose whether they're going to be a positive change or a negative change. To me, I rig the game in my favor by poking holes in the bottoms of the chocolates so I know if I'm going to eat them or not because I like them or not. And I really have taken that a step further by deciding, okay, I'm only going to buy a box of caramels because those are the ones I want to eat. The rest of them usually go to waste or get used in some other way. I used to chop them up and put them in fudge or something. But I don't like all the weird flavors. I like what I like. We all like what we like. So our idiom today was 15 different idioms about life is. And I remembered, oh, I have my life is good cup, and that's a good one. If I approach life assuming that it's going to be good and is rigged in my favor. Oh, I forgot that one. Life is rigged in my favor is probably one of my personal favorite life is. We're supposed to share our favorite life is, so I got to think about mine today and go about my day and figure it out. Or do life is blank, and whatever pops into your head, the first thing that pops into your head tells you what your thinking and mindset is right this instant. It doesn't mean it usually is. Like sometimes I'll say life is hard or life is a pain in the rear or something because that pops into my head. But it's always based on what just happened or what's going on right now. So that was our idiom today. Our topic for this year's annual challenge, we're doing NNN, No Nonsense November, for the month. And what we're really doing is we're taking a pause. We're going back and reviewing what we've covered so far in the previous 9 months because it's been a lot. And today we're looking at and thinking about our life core values, our overarching life core values. We looked at it January 6th and we did based on the life framework. I do a lot. And so I want to share and really incorporate this into what I do. I want to teach people what I do because if we can be an example and show people what we do that works for us, it may or may not work for them. My life framework, they might say, I don't want to have anything to do with contribution, communication, or confidence right now. I just want to focus on the core things that I think I need. So maybe they just do physical, mental, emotional, financial, or spiritual, whatever works for anybody. But we need systems and things to simplify life. Life has gotten so complicated. I was talking to my daughter the other day about, she's got a 2-year-old and a under 1-year-old and almost 3-year-old. And I was saying, I can't imagine the pressures and the things that kids go through now. You know, when I look back now, I think, oh my God, school was so easy. We had it so easy as kids. There wasn't any internet. There was only about 4 channels on television. So you went outside and played. You interacted with nature. You did things that were naturally good for you. Now there's, you know, our food isn't really food anymore. Our entertainment is god awful. I mean, I hate to say that, but there is so much crazy stuff. You really have to monitor and be careful what you pick and choose to feed your brain, feed your mind, feed your psyche and your emotions, right? I have found I can't go on Twitter at all. Twitter just pushes my buttons, and I think I might have to just not use it at all because it's all political. It's all media driven. It's all BS, and it's almost all negative. And it sucks you in. I always think I'm immune to that, but it sucks even me in. And so I'm like, that just reminds me, and it makes me feel icky. So that tells me that that's something that is not good for me. Anyway, that's just an example. So core values today, what are your overarching core values? And I like to go by, again, the life framework. What are my biggest core values in each of these? And then I look for things that are common. And that usually helps me to clearly and quickly identify, well, what are my 3 main core value drivers? One of mine is always love, right? If it's not done with love, then I won't do it. That's how and then I'll revisit mine again today too, because I like to do it a couple times a year. All right, what is really driving me? What's most important? And I shared today in the challenge that one of my core values used to be being comfortable. I just wanted to be comfortable. And I don't know where I picked that up, probably from my parents or my aunts or uncles or something as I was growing up, but I always believed that comfort was the most important thing. Guess what? If I have to always be comfortable, that means I'm not going to ever be uncomfortable. And that was driving my decisions and my values. It was driving the opportunities and things I would even see. And if you can't see something, then you can't decide if it's right for you or not. So talked about that and gave some examples of that from my personal past, because our core values are always our core values. I still want to be comfortable. I'm not going to lie. It's just moved down my priority list. So comfort is not one of the first 3 things that drives my decision making, my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, because I realized it was conflicting. I wanted to be comfortable, but I also wanted to be super successful. Guess what? Those collide and don't work, because the only way we're super successful is if we're willing to try and fail and learn new things. And so that was a huge lesson learned for me doing this exact exercise for myself years ago. All right. If I can help you anyway, askpajamagrandma@gmail.com is, of course, my Voxer handle. I love Voxer. I don't know if people still use it, but I do. So hit me up. Otherwise, you can direct message me and ask a question. I say ask a question in the comments and in public, because then other people learn. If you have a question, I guarantee there are hundreds of thousands, at least thousands of people that have the exact same question. We're never alone in anything that we think we are. All right. Have an awesome day, and I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.